Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Trust in Masai. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, are you?
I'm known around these parts as the producer. My name's Matt Duncan. And Fred, how are you doing at the end of the summer here?
I'm doing good. The heat wave seems like it mostly broke.
Yes.
I was cold for parts of today, but I love the heat, and I'm happy for everyone that it's graduated past the unbearable portion, it seems.
Yes, yeah. I did not have any AC through the heat wave, and
Pooey.
decided to stay in the house while my wife left and went to her parents. And it was quite an extreme time those 2 days.
Are we talking Fear and Loathing in Newmarket or what?
Yeah, a bit of a fear and loathing. Yeah, I was definitely dripping and a bit dizzy here and there, but I got through it. I wanted to test myself and see how I did.
Sure.
And now it's all fixed and it's feeling cool, and that means fall's coming, and that means basketball's coming.
That's right. And after that, snowblower season. Am I right?
Buddy, got to change the oil, get it all set, ready to go.
Yeah, we'll get that snowblower oil nice and change for you. Diesel, I'm assuming.
Yes, yeah. Only diesel.
Folks who, if you're just tuning into this pod for the first time, I am Freddie. This is Matt. We're hardcore Raptors fans. We think we know a lot. We don't know everything. We try to bring on some analysts, but mostly it's performers, and we talk ball. We talk NBA as well.
Yeah.
And, just to get the goods, the important pod stuff out of the way. Maddie, if people want to help us, find us, support us, how do they do that?
Well, you can go to dunkspodcast.com. That is our website. That is our skateboard, as we like to say, the decals, the Tony Hawk. You can click on them and you can go anywhere you want. So we've got everything there. We've got the Sonar Network. If you want to go there, you can see all the other great podcasts they have, because they're just, tons every day. Every day there's some new podcasts getting added, joining the family. But you can also, of course, listen to ours there. You can see all our guests. They all have their own page. Give the guest name a click in the show notes. It's going to take you to the Sonar Network, and you can see all the episodes they've done on our podcast and the other podcast as well. We've got our link tree set up on our social media. Please, if you can, donate to our Patreon. And as well, we've got toques still on sale, starting to get cold again. The temperature's going to drop, going to be like 10 degrees tonight, folks. Going to need a toque to sleep in. Gotta say, a lot of people are sleeping in toques these days. We've got the right toque for you for that exact thing.
Itch-proof toques.
Yeah.
Got them in Ziploc bags. And let's add to this. We want you to sleep in these. Okay?
Yeah.
That's a big part of our toques. It's a big part of our brand. Sleeping with a hat. Maddie, you're the greatest. I feel like we should we should just get rolling on this pod. So, I'll just let people know. We got Brian Kimmel, George Brooks. They're both regulars on this pod. Awesome guests. We're talking Ben Simmons trades. We're talking the LA Big Three versus the Brooklyn Big Three. And of course, we're talking Raptors, shooting end of the bench. We're talking, tattoos and tattoo ideas. Like our boy Danny Green got a Raptors tattoo on him. And I think I love to talk about Masai. So we're definitely talking like, what Masai's vision is going to be, and are we seeing it form? And we're a very international team. So I pushed the pod in that direction. But it was a fun one, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about that. I've been saying it for years now, where I feel like Masai has been trying to make Toronto the international team, So
Totally.
and I agree. Yeah, I do think it's happening.
And he's not doing that Colangelo thing where he's like, let me scoop up some bunch of dudes from Europe, bring over that Maurizio Gerardini from Benetton Treviso, and we'll call it a day. No, Masai, the work's never done with him.
We would not be in the situation we are right now if we didn't draft a European player first overall many moons ago, right?
Thanks to Bargnani. We got to get Bargnani his ring. You're right.
There's no chip without Bargnani is what I'm trying to say.
I hear that. Modern center, lights out for work ethic, that others dream to have.
Yeah.
Andrea Bargnani. I was gonna make a pasta joke. Shout out to Bargnani, love you. Okay, let's get rolling here. And before we do, I will say Black Lives Matter, stop Asian hate, defund the police, and of course, email your city councilors. We are heading into an election, and it's very important. Know your riding and know who the battle is between, and get to know your constituents. You have power, so make sure you use it. And with that, Maddie, if you feel like we're good to go, please just give me those sweet and delicious words. Okay. Okay, let's get going on the pod here. Last week was our first week back from our 1 week vacation, and training camp's still about a month away, so it's a little bit NBA dead time, but stuff is still happening. And I'm really excited for these two guests. Guest number one, he's done the show a bunch. He's one of the most hardcore Raptors fans I know, probably has the most extensive knowledge of jerseys that I know, and is one of the best damn DJs in the city. Your boy Brian. Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Brian Kimmel.
Greetings.
That face is wonderful. Thank you.
Classic smooth face.
Brian, that's your music. I know you have a very, very good taste in music, so I'm sorry.
I like it.
That's one of the better tracks. Like, wait till you see Georgia's.
Well, it's actually probably one of the better tracks I've heard in 2021.
Yeah, it's been a rough year. That's
kind of a rough year for music so far.
Shaq would spin that one for
He
sure.
probably would, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Shaq knows how to entertain a party. He'll pop in on a wedding from
Ronnie
now and then.
Cycli
Was that Brian?
Ronnie Cycli for sure.
Ronnie Cycli for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Let's just keep this baby moving and bring on guest number two. Matt already said her name. She's also a hardcore Raptors fan, probably the biggest Stanimal fan I know. Twitter bio says "not light in the butt," which is a fun deep cut for Raptors fans when we needed to play Stanley as one of our bigs. Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for George Brooks. Yeah, you were lying, Matt.
I always forget the tune.
Your song was way better than mine.
You're being
Again.
crazy.
No, that song, that's like big Monkey Island energy.
It does feel like cartoons vacationing.
It actually sounds like a song from Monkey Island. Like, I don't know if you guys know that computer game series from back in the day. Like,
No.
by LucasArts.
Oh yeah, I do know Monkey Island. Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't, but where my in-laws live, there is a real monkey island, an island filled with monkeys that they've done experiments on. And sometimes you can see them if you take the boat around the island.
That sounds-
I hate that story.
It's like Dr.
I'm so
Moreau's
sorry.
Island. And
I think so. Yeah. I thought I saw a monkey once, and Caitlin's whole family was like, "No, you didn't." But I was like, "But there is monkeys there," and they're like, "Yeah." So I'm like, "I think I did." I'm so sorry, everyone who's listening. I promise to never talk about Monkey Island again.
It sounds like it's going to be awesome, and then you're like, "That's where they really rip apart monkeys and see how their bodies work." And it's like, oh,
Yeah. It's not like a harmonious, chill island, I don't think. But I think they go there to retire. So maybe there's that. That's kind of nice.
The monkeys?
Yes.
Or-
You know what? Let's just start talking Raptors ball because I feel like I don't know how many more like monkey bits I got in me. Maddie, I know you're there. Please give me your most delicious Raptors sting. Meow. Nice, I hit it. Brian, let's start with you. And yeah, this is just kind of, open-ended sort of like I'm feeling like new era vibes. And I don't know if this is like a fact or if we're one of the more international teams, but from my cursory looking around Basketball Reference and stuff, it does seem like potentially the Raptors are the most international team in the NBA this season. We'll see, obviously.
Oh, Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas. I was thinking Dallas Nuggets. There's some other teams out there. Like, I could be wrong, but I think that plus getting these like super long players seems like sort of a Masai thing. Like, do you think that's a part of this new era, a part of like Masai's plan, or is it kind of like more coincidence?
Going international?
Yeah, going international, going long. Like, is this sort of what he's trying to do, or him and Bobby?
Yeah, well, I think, obviously, like talent and fit is always going to be the most important factors in acquiring talent for them. But, I'm sure it's something they consider. I'm sure it's something that management's probably considered going back to like the earliest years of the franchise. I feel like, they're pretty diligent about considering, actually, maybe not thinking back to the way
I know
the team run under like Babcock. But, no, yeah, I feel like these are things that all teams probably consider, like the pros and cons.
Yeah, for sure. It even seems weird saying like, he'll like, I don't think he would take an international player over like an American player, for instance, just because they're international. It just kind of seems like, I don't know, it seems like the team.
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah, exactly like a tiebreaker.
I mean, I think they would probably, do their homework on players that don't want to be here, and avoid those guys. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that fans don't know about in terms of, players' private desires and whatnot. And, those are things that everyone tries to keep private in the best interest of everyone, right? It's like not a good look for the franchises if a player doesn't want to be there, not a good look for the player if it's publicly known that they don't want to be with certain people. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. And one of my later questions is about Ben Simmons, and he's been or it's been rumored anyways that he's not like super interested in coming here. And I think, unfortunately, it's a little bit overblown, but there are the Lou Williams scenarios where he kind of took a couple jabs here and there about like living in Canada, and it's quite a different experience if you're American.
I felt no way about the stuff that Lou Will said. I thought that it was just our fan base getting in its feelings again. He was whatever. Like, guys are allowed to be transparent about certain things. Like, I don't know.
Totally.
I went to Thailand for a while a couple of years ago, and it was awesome. But you couldn't find any West Indian food there. That's not a knock on Thailand. It's just a fact, right? So if we don't have like American cable shows or certain comfort foods that the players like, it's and they talk about those things. It's not a knock against Toronto. It's just call them spade a spade.
Yeah, no, I totally feel that way, and it's like there's no way to separate the fact that there's 29 American teams and one Canadian team, and I think for a lot of people it is like a form of culture shock, or there's something. It's a little extra thing. Paul Pierce and Chris Bosh have also talked about like the border stuff and taxes, and again, I do think it's definitely the fans kind of getting in their feelings, but George, I'll switch to you. Yeah, how much do you think all of this plays into kind of like potentially being more international? Like, is it sort of a coincidence, maybe a tie break? Like,
I think it's not a coincidence, but I don't think it's necessarily like premeditated. I think the fact that Masai spent a lot of his career being like a scout for, he started with like as a scout for the Orlando Magic, looking at players in Europe and I guess maybe Africa too.
Yeah, Africa.
So I think he might just be inherently more tapped into like up and coming players overseas and maybe some other presidents. And then I just think it's like not a coincidence because it that was bound to happen.
Mhm.
And I think it's actually like one of the reasons why there's an appeal to Masai. Like it's one of the pros. If you were going to try and pick a president, I bet that would be in Masai's pro column. Like he's really tapped into international basketball.
Yeah, no, well said. And I think, I was never 100% sure, but I always felt, even with Masai's free agency, part of the lure to, the Knicks or the, like the Clippers or the Lakers or whatever. I just wasn't exactly sure that it's Masai's dream to, be in a big American city necessarily. And I think it's a common theme for American players to not want to be in Oklahoma or Minnesota, and they prefer to be in like the big American markets. So I think it's definitely in his wheelhouse, and
I also think that going in hand with Canada being like, some Americans don't want to live in another country if most of the teams are in America, and that's the other option. But I think it's more easy to entice international players to play in Canada because they're not playing in their home country anyways. And also I think internationally people like Canada better than America. So I feel like it might be also an easier sell, unless like, I guess you're Georgea, but to international players to play in Toronto than it might be to try and entice like Ben. Like I know we didn't get Giannis, but I feel like we would have had an easier time convincing him to come to Toronto than Ben Simmons. And based on a lot of things, but one being where they are from.
For sure. I mean, like, again, like, one thing Brian brought up earlier is like, there's so much we don't know. And like, I always try and remember that, but it's something I'm watching with, like Embiid in Philly, is Embiid desperate to be in Miami or, LA or New York? Is Jokic desperate to be in those places? Is Doncic desperate to be in those places? I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously everyone's different, and just because they're international players doesn't mean they all think the same way either. But
right, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of something I'm keeping an eye on. Like, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer really, but yeah, I'm gonna stick with you, George, for question number 2. And I'm gonna work on this name in case I mess it up too hard. But Sviatoslav Mykhailiuk just got brought into the Raptors camp, and he's certainly profiles as a shooter. I think actually in a game with OKC and maybe also a game with Detroit before he got traded, he was just like banging threes on us on the Tampa Bay Raptors. But yeah, I've heard seen a lot about kind of like the Raptors' lack of shooting, and I'm just curious, like how big of a deal do you think that is?
I think our offense is kind of our biggest weakness. So I guess that goes with shooting. I wonder if like last year, like, okay, the year before last, shooting was an issue, but it wasn't like the kind of issue it was last year. Like, I feel like last year, because in Tampa, it was so glaringly obvious that we could not put the ball in the basket. And I feel like the year before that, we couldn't really get the ball in the basket a lot, but at the same time, like, I guess our defense really helped us win games, and we were able to score. So
yeah,
I wonder if like, I do think it's a problem, and I do like that they took Mykhailiuk. Did I say that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
I'm glad they got him. Like, I think maybe once we're back in Toronto, the atmosphere might, like, I think shooting is so much confidence. And like, I think last year they could, like, Pascal could never get a buzzer beater, but like, how much of that is because you didn't get the first 2 and then you're just like, everyone's like, I guess you can't do it, and then he's like, I guess I can't do it. And I'm hoping that the vibes in Toronto and like the energy and everyone hopefully people are loving Pascal again, get some more balls and baskets. I also know that like now we're trying to figure out who's going to make the roster spots that are left. So there's, I think Watanabe is going to get it over Gillespie. I don't know if those two are even actually competing like head to head, but if we're talking about shooting, like I know that last year it seemed like Watanabe was really like passing the ball instead of shooting, but then it seemed like the second half before he got injured, he was getting some confidence and shooting and making some crazy buckets. And I think if we need to focus, I mean, because I like his defense too. So I think if we need to focus on offense, like he would be the better choice.
Yeah, no, I think you brought up a bunch of good points, and kind of like teaching guys to shoot within our system, I think is going to be a huge part of this year. So I do think it is probably the biggest deficit. Like, I think the Raptors have struggled in some capacity with their half court offense for, I don't know, like since the championship. Like we really heavily relied on Serge's pick and pop, and he was so efficient. And I think losing him and replacing him with Baines was just deadly on offense and defense, and it really kind of hurt the players around him. But yeah, I'm not convinced that a guy like Precious isn't going to be able to shoot okay, or Utah, or, I think some of these guys we've brought in, they kind of give me, I don't want to say Matt Thomas vibes, but like they're sort of, I don't know if they're going to address the shooting issues of the guys who are playing the bulk of the minutes. Like for instance, if you got Scotty who's struggling to shoot, and Precious who's also struggling to shoot, there might be some, times where the offense, like it seems kind of congested or small. And before I go to you, Brian, I'll just say, I feel like we're probably all in the same place here, but I definitely haven't sold any of my Pascal stock. Like I think Pascal's still an incredible player.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I understand anyone's frustration because losing is hard, and he's the big money player on the roster now, but I absolutely expect him to shoot well and have a really, really strong season. But where are you at with shooting on the roster? Like how big of an issue do you think it is?
I think that's the biggest issue with the roster makeup right now, even before or just like kind of heading into this past off season. That said, it's obviously the most teachable skill in the game, right? Or our management's been collecting players that have a lot of qualities that aren't really so easy to find. Length, just intangibles like heart and hustle, that type of stuff.
Yep.
So yeah, I think they're probably confident in their ability to develop the shooters, from within, and see what happens, right? I think the jury's out. Really, we'll see how it goes. Like our transition game was really hurt last year. That was a big part, like with Baines being really slow.
Yes,
and also not really working with our defensive schemes. I mean, obviously, I was like championing Aaron Baines, obviously, and I watched a good amount of Phoenix games the year prior.
Oh man, me too. He looked all right.
He looked really good. He was hitting his open shots. He's a solid, one-on-one defender, and I was like, yeah, he should be all right. Like, don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting him to, fill in Serge's shoes or Mark's. Those guys are two really good centers. It's a position that's obviously really been dwindling in talent. And I thought he'd be solid and he'd be a good stopgap, but unfortunately it didn't work out that way. And, our transition offense really struggled due to the defense and, his lack of speed. So, I think having guys like Precious will help a lot in just being able. And also we saw Chem at the end of last season, and, our transition game looked pretty good with Chem in the middle. So I think that getting our guys out and running again will help a lot. And the shooting, we'll see what happens with that. But
yeah, okay. I totally agree with all of that. Sorry, go ahead, George.
I just wanted to interrupt and say, like, the other day I saw on Instagram like a video of a Matt Thomas Raptors game, like in the bubble, where he had that game where he was just like so amazing, and I was just
like. Kevin Durant was like asking who that was.
Yes, that was the exact clip, and I was like, damn, like I really believed in this man for a minute so much, and it's almost like I'm glad he's not on the team anymore because of course, but I just wish that version of Matt Thomas was on our team still. It was kind of magic and like so exciting when he would come in.
I think it's just one of those things where, because the offense was so stagnant and like everyone was probably feeling internal pressure to make their shots. Everyone was pressing, I think. You know, if we had an offense like we did in 2019, where things just kind of felt more free flowing or whatever, people would just be more relaxed and hitting their shots. But it was just, that's a perfect storm last season of trash.
Matt's not even in the league now.
Did Utah drop him?
They waived him, yeah, I think.
Waived. Wow,
dang it,
that's too bad. I mean, like, he definitely was like magical when he'd come on, and Brian, you nailed it. Like, I feel like it truly was a perfect storm of like bad things, and that seems like, I'm not trying to present a perfect storm of excuses, because like, we did make the playoffs, and that is what that is. So, you just have to kind of like take it on the chin and keep moving, but I feel like it's not delusional to think that this team is going to be greatly improved. And, going back to your transition thing, I think is massive, because, when your defense is constantly letting you down, when you're struggling to rebound, which I think is going to happen less with guys like Precious and Kem. And, we're openly wondering now if a breath of fresh air like Gillespie is even going to make the final roster. So I think I'm feeling, if not more like top level depth, definitely overall kind of athleticism and depth on the team, which I feel like should greatly improve kind of like the at least the speed at which the Raptors can play. And totally, the jury is very much still out on like what we can do in the half court. It's going to be Fred's first time. I was saying this last week, but it's going to be his first time finally having like, all of the options available to him. And I think him and Kyle did a wonderful job of creatively being small together, but that's done for him. He's always going to be the smallest guy in the court. I guess maybe he'll play with Malachi sometimes, but I don't know. I think he's maybe shorter than Malachi, but regardless, I feel like it's going to be, there will be some figuring out for sure, but
what will be
a lot
nice
more athleticism
about this coming season is the fact that when like our starters take a breather, we're probably going to be able to maintain, like, I think our bench is just so much better than last year. Like, remember, sometimes our bench last year would get like 11, like no points in 11 minutes. Like, they were just trash. And this year, like, hopefully people can take a seat and it's not going to hinder the game. In fact, like, I think we might make up points when the bench is on.
Totally. And I think we're going to be really big too. Like the transition from size is going to be absolutely massive. Like, we had a bunch of lineups where, it would be like Stanley at the 4 and, you got Bembry and just kind of like hoping for the best with these guys. And we might be kind of foul prone or whatever, but we're definitely going to be a big, tough, athletic team. But I want to kind of get a bit silly for a second and keep it in the shooter department because, I want to talk about Danny Green's tattoo. And Maddie, I know I want you to answer this question, so please join us. I know you're gonna have a good answer. So we got Danny Green still showing his love for the Raptors. Still hasn't picked up his ring, which is like funny and like nice to me. But he got a Raptors tattoo, which is incredible. I don't know if he has the Spurs and a Lakers tattoo, or if he does have a Lakers.
I don't know why they edited that out, but like he got a tattoo on his arm, like forearm Raptors upper like bicep area. He got giant Lakers championship tat.
Oh, that's
like
awesome.
Hollywood
and like a Kobe tribute and stuff. So it's
cool.
Like those two championships,
I wonder, Spurs, does he have
Toronto media is omitting the Lakers part and LA media is omitting the Toronto part. So
I mean, I live in LA and I didn't see anything about that LA stuff. I must just only follow just only follow Toronto Twitter.
Probably, just Google it and you'll see it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. That's awesome though. I love the 3D chess of like people being like, check out this Raptors tattoo, and like I'm gonna repeat it. Like I wonder if there's a Spurs tattoo. Like did they make the cut? I hope so. But let's go to you first, Brian. And my question is just, who needs to get a tattoo on the Raptors, and what does it need to be of?
I don't
Like,
think anyone needs to get a tattoo. We need to get tattoos removed.
fair enough.
I'm going to trigger a lot of my friends. I have like so many friends that are tattoo artists. Now, listen, tattoos are great. I just think that a lot of people are a little reckless about getting them. And
Fair.
I mean, teach his own, right? Like, I'm not. I don't have any. I don't like. Maybe I get a tattoo someday, like to commemorate something significant or whatever. But yeah, I'm not the type that's just like, oh, let's get a tattoo for the sake of getting a tat. And I don't know, like not getting a tattoo has been the new getting a tattoo since like the tens, pretty much. Right.
As someone that doesn't have a tattoo, I 100% agree with you. And also, it's a bit of like I don't want to say fear of pain, but for me, it's the fear of like when, like, I've never been able to think of something that wouldn't expire really quickly and like in value to myself. Like, I don't know what I could put on my body that like in 30 years, I'd be like, oh yeah, still love hats or whatever,
You should get the podcast tat somewhere on your body.
Yeah.
On your
Actually, you know what? You know what, Matt? That's me and Matt's Kickstarter. We get Confederacy of Dunks, which is the image from Confederacy of Dunces, the book, a guy dunking in a toque. So, Maddie, we're both getting that on our forehead. Okay.
Oh.
Let's go to you, George. What's who needs a tattoo? Who needs tattoo removal or whatever? But who needs a tattoo and what is the tattoo?
Removal.
Well, I was like, because you kind of warned us about this question, which was nice of you. So I was like, maybe OG needs like a scarf tattoo. But then I was like, what tattoos do these guys have? And we weirdly have a lot of guys on our team that don't have tattoos. Like, I know Kyle's gone, but he didn't have any tattoos, and Pascal doesn't, and OG doesn't, and Scotty Barnes is new, but he doesn't, and I don't think Malachi does. I think this question is hard to answer, but if I could change it a bit to who will be the next Raptor to get a Raptors tattoo.
Ooh, I like that.
I think it's going to be oh no. I just got really stressed and blanked on this player's name.
Oh my god, that's okay.
Do you guys want to guess who I'm thinking of? I'll tell you.
Goran Dragic.
It's like a Raptor and it has like an X through it. No, this person is really stoked to be on the Raptors and he's new.
Oh, Barnes?
And it's not Barnes.
Oh.
He's not that new. He has played before.
Is it Delano Banton?
He's really successful and I should absolutely be able to remember it.
Sam Decker?
He's a starter on our team. And he filled in for a real big fave. Guys, it's Gary Trent.
Nice.
I'm so sorry. Gary Trent Jr. is for sure going to get a 416 tattoo or something. If he hasn't already. That guy's so stoked to be on the team.
Yeah, he definitely was like doing a bunch of ads, or not ads, but like he was like repping Toronto pretty quickly, even though he was in Tampa.
Yes.
It was awesome.
He wore like old, like vintage Raptor shorts and I like bought them right away.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing. He's repping the Raptors hard. I feel like fans are going to love Gary Trent.
Well, I think they already do now.
Yeah, fair enough. If anyone doesn't like Gary Trent, I mean, like, I don't know.
Well, he seems like the type of guy that's just a really positive individual. He'd probably like bring the same energy, like regardless of whether he got traded to like Milwaukee or Phoenix or Alaska or like wherever. He just seems like the type of guy that like a glass half full type of guy.
Yeah, for sure.
But I also think he was particularly stoked. It was like, because I think there's a coolness that comes with the Toronto Raptors that is new and it's from Drake and it's from the championship. And I think that like he's a young guy who likes hip, cool things. And I think he liked how hip and cool the Raptors are. They are cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Am I forcing this?
We're cool, okay?
We're cool.
No, I also feel like the weird kind of coincidence of his dad getting traded from the Blazers to the Raptors, like, I don't know, like gave him a bit more sense of like destiny, even if that's not real. Like it definitely was a cool factoid that I feel like is is
Oh, and
fun.
there's a
And
bunch of other coincidental, or like him and his dad. There were certain other things that they had in common. I can't remember what.
It was like
They
the
got trained
exact
on the
amount of
same day
games.
or something, or the same amount of games played. I can't
Yeah.
remember what it was, but there was something that aligned up perfectly.
I think maybe even the date too.
Twilight Zone-ish. Yeah,
It
maybe
was
that.
Twilight Zone-ish.
His dad's the one player that I share a birthday with.
Sick.
Oh.
Remember that going back to like NBA Live 2000, be like looking at all the players' birthdays, like who's got the same birthdays? Man.
I'm pretty sure mine is Allen Iverson,
Oh damn, you
which
beat
is
me.
Huge.
which is a good one. But now I'm like, you know what? It's June 7th, so I feel like, yeah, I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But I also got Prince, so it's a pretty sick birthday.
Oh damn, man. Yeah, you're beating us all.
All the greats.
All the
I mean,
greats.
Stephen King was born the day before me, so if I had that, then I would win. But
Yeah, Stephen King's gonna write a novella about your birthday because like he had the time, you know.
yeah.
Okay, weird, bad Stephen King joke. I'm so sorry, everyone. Maddie, what's your
Yeah.
tattoo answer?
Well, I can't really think of a player that I want to get a tattoo, but I would like it to shift over to management. And I want Nick Nurse to have a little more attitude out there because we know he's always, dropping his jaw and he's yelling and moving his arms and stuff. But I want some subtle stuff. Like, I don't know why I want him to have this for just when he plays the Pistons, but like just a tattoo of the Rock. Casey's Rock on the palm of his hand, and he just flashes it and then like crushes his hand at Casey.
How dare you?
Just to throw him off a little bit because he's very sensitive about that rock, Casey. And then like honestly, why stop at tattoos? I want him to like get hoops in his ears. I want them stretched, and
Oh my God.
and then like full on sleeves for Nick Nurse, and never wears the suit again. Like he's always wearing tank tops to show it off, and it's just gonna add like this intimidating factor out there, folks. And he flashes that palm rock tattoo and crushes it. We're gonna win those games.
Maddie, you didn't disappoint. Your description of Nurse it kind of became something like a Xerxes in 300.
Yeah.
You want our sideline to be a bit of a sideshow, but cheers, cheers to that. Yeah, I actually was gonna say, geez, like a scarf because I thought it was funny, but I guess it was low hanging fruit. So my backup answer is Ish Wainwright. I want him to get a tattoo that says "I'm also a football player" because I just think that's a weird, cool stat. And if it was like fully like text that said that, I think people would be like, "What is that?" And then they would Google it and they'd be like, "Oh, he actually is cool." So yeah, that's my backup answer, which is for sure not good at all. But, we're doing our best out here. Let's move on to some NBA stuff, and let's actually just take a quick break before we do that for some ads. I never know if that's going to work. We'll see if it does. It has been kind of working. Maddie D.
It works for me. I'm the one who decides where it goes.
Well, so
I
listen.
love that you think that the ads are calling to you by announcing a break.
Hey, I don't understand anything about algorithms, so I just assume I'm always being listened to, and yeah, it's some kind of weird thing where people keep track of me like that. But yeah, Maddie, would you give me your most delicious sounding Adam Silver foghorn sounding NBA sting?
This is Adam Silver.
Missed it that time. That's okay. Let's go to you, Brian. Yeah, just what was I going to ask here? Oh yeah, this is. I mean, I don't know if this is going to be an easy answer for everyone, but I was thinking about it a bunch, and I feel like it's a bit more complicated than I originally thought. But yeah, who do you think has the better big three between LA and Brooklyn?
Who's the Lakers' third guy again?
So they just added Russ.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, I thought maybe you were saying like no, Russ doesn't
I
qualify.
would
but
say
I
that
feel like
LA's
he does.
got the more entertaining big three because just I don't know, it's just gonna be fun seeing how LeBron and Russ mesh.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously from just like today's game, Brooklyn has the better big three in terms of just three guys that can shoot and handle the ball, etc.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think they're both really good though. That's probably the finals, and who stays healthier really? It's like whoever's big three stays healthier is the better big three.
I think that I totally agree. I think analytically, Brooklyn, but ultimately it's going to be health. And this is the year, I remember last year when it was like LA, Brooklyn in the finals, I was like, I feel like neither. And this year I do feel like that is the like oncoming collision. I think,
Well, end up being like Denver and us. Oh, sorry.
oh, it's all good. That's Denver calling to be like, listen, we'll be in the finals. Okay.
That's Rogers calling to try to sell me another internet plan.
Fair enough. Fido's been working me hard, and I don't know what to tell you, Fido. I already have phone with you, chill out. I'm assuming also Fido listens to this podcast, the dog that runs the company.
For sure.
But yeah, George, what do you think? You're in LA. People are, I'm sure, hyped about Russ. And I think some of the like Russ can't, be successful in today's game maybe is being challenged by the fact that LeBron is usually successful. I think the jury will be out on that. It'll be fun. I'm definitely on the side that I think it is going to be successful, but we'll see. Yeah. Do you agree with us? Do you think, maybe the Lakers have a better big three or Brooklyn or what?
I think I agree with you guys. I think Brooklyn has a better big three. I am a real, and I guess it's because I'm a Toronto fan. Like I'm a real believer in point, like a great point guard, and I would pick Kyrie Irving over Westbrook like any day of the week. And I'm also one of those people that just doesn't believe in Westbrook. I think if I had to guess, it does depend on who stays healthy. If I had to guess, I don't think I think the Lakers big three will are less likely to stay healthy. And even if that's the case, I think if like both teams have one of their threes unhealthy, then Brooklyn really takes it. I guess it depends on which of the tripod is unhealthy.
Right.
But like ideally for Brooklyn, it would be like if both teams had to have an unhealthy player, it'd be like Westbrook's unhealthy. This is like pro Brooklyn. Westbrook's unhealthy and it's Harden who's unhealthy. I think those would be the best situation for. No, obviously LeBron being unhealthy would be the best. What am I talking about? Anyways, I believe in Brooklyn way more. I'm not a Lakers fan for starters, so I take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. I do really like LeBron and AD, but I just don't think they're going to stay well. And I think that LeBron is going to get really, I foresee like a fallout between Westbrook and LeBron.
Wow. Oh my God. I think like fair enough. I just feel like I don't know. I'm not to like totally disagree, but I just feel like there's this mixture of like for Westbrook, I feel like he's really going to try to seize this opportunity. I think he does, I know he shoots the ball like crazy and is not efficient at it, but there is this kind of motor to him that I've always sort of believed in. I feel like after his MVP year, there was kind of this like shift where everyone's like, this guy's brutal, and like I never jumped on that. And also, to be fair, Kyrie won me over a bit more last year, but I would definitely put myself in a little bit of like not a hater of Kyrie, but I feel like when he was with LeBron, I remember saying like I don't think he's gonna win another championship. Like when he first left to Boston, I was like, no, this guy doesn't recognize how hard it is to get there. And also to your point about health, like, because I think it's really interesting. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like Westbrook and Harden seem to be the like super healthy guys. Like obviously LeBron, but he's a bit older, and KD. I mean, he's already breaking like records, like with what he's done with his Achilles. And like, I just hope he stays healthy, but history is not necessarily on his side there. I mean, it should be very interesting. AD, I would say, is the most injured of like the 6 stars, like consistently anyways. But yeah, I don't know. Lots of good points on both ends. And I feel like I'm glad I brought this question up because it's not super straightforward to me. I think Brooklyn, I would give them the edge just because it's also their second year. And I'm a believer of like, big threes, their second year, they can really kind of like figure out the role player scenario and that kind of stuff. But Brian, I feel, yeah, you had some
like Russ and LeBron, I think are going to get along great. I think Russ is such an underrated teammate. Like no one ever has anything bad to say about Russ as a teammate. Like, yeah, he's not that efficient, but also, I mean, he's been on teams like when you look back to like OKC when like post KD where he had to carry a lot of the scoring load himself. But that said, when you look at his game, like when he went to Washington and stuff, and when he was teamed up with Harden, like he did tone it down a bit. And I feel like he's a good teammate, and he will, sacrifice the good of the team. And the other thing about him is that out of all all 6 players in the 2 big threes, he's got the greatest like competitive drive, I think, out of any of those guys. So that's kind of the X factor for him and for LA. Whereas like, he's obviously probably a better fit in like the 80s or 90s or something. But but just that like, yeah, that competitive hunger that he has, like I don't think, anyone in the league has really had since Kobe. So yeah, I think we'll find a way to make it work.
I mean, Kyle's pretty competitive.
Yeah, they all, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying these other guys aren't competitive. They're all like a lot of alpha males, right, in that league that are all like super competitive guys. But I'm just saying that like Russ is on that next level of like, like bordering on sociopathic, like type of competitiveness. Like it's like him, Kobe, and MJ are like my top 3 most competitive guys of all time in the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's hyper. Sorry, go ahead, George.
I was just gonna say I'm gonna have to watch out for that because I've never really thought of him as more competitive. But I'll watch. I'll like keep that in mind this season when I'm watching.
Yeah, well, maybe it's just me being biased because I am a big Russ fan, but
well, it's probably me not being biased because like I don't like him for no reason, for no real reason at all. I don't like him because people would often be like, "Who's better, Lowry or Westbrook?" And I was all, so I'm just.
I mean, that's not his fault though, right? I mean, Kalo's
no,
like
it's not
one of the most underrated players like of our time. Like all the advanced metrics show that Kyle Lowry is a top 10 to top 15 player of the past decade. And it is like empirical evidence, but like people always like write him out like, oh, he sucks, oh, he's overrated, blah. Like, no, he's not. He's really freaking good.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it. I spoke it to death on this podcast, but like I would not have been upset. I would have been quite happy if we did retain Kyle. I mean, I think his 3-year contract is a big one, but I just think you don't get many chances.
His first choice was to stay here. That's from what I heard.
Yeah, that to me is not really surprising.
Both parties wanted to stay together, but it just didn't really make sense from a basketball perspective. So
yeah,
it's just like, for Kalo, like go and try to win another chip, and for us get younger and start preparing for the future, right?
Yeah, we both kind of outgrown each other. Like, in a relationship and you still really like love the other person, but you're like, it's just not gonna work out for us. Like, I need to grow in this direction and you need to grow in that direction.
For sure. We're definitely like a new era. And I think, I'm into it. It's exciting. I think there's going to be lots of like fits and starts, and it should be interesting to see like who, like what the attitude of this era is. But yeah, Georgia, I just want to talk about Ben Simmons. Like, I feel like it's been all over the place since, they lost to the Hawks, and there's the famous moment where, he kind of like was a bit nervous to dunk it, but then also there's been some settling where people are like, right, he was runner-up defensive player of the year. He's on a pretty good contract. He's still 24 years old. And then, but anyways, I was just reading that he, apparently he's not going to report to camp. So I think that's a little bit of an escalation of where it's been, but also you never know if that's going to stick. I'm just curious what you both think. But yeah, George, I'll start with you. Like, what happens with Ben Simmons like from now, until the start of the season? Like, is he a Sixer? Is it like he's a Sixer, but it's like intense, or is it like no, he's not going to play until he's traded?
I don't know. I'm really confused about the Ben Simmons situation because I don't think he belongs on the Sixers. I think not like necessarily it's his fault. I just think like Philly's an unforgiving city, and I don't think Ben Simmons can come back to that situation and succeed in any way, and I don't think it's good for the Sixers. So I'm really confused why he's even still on the team. That said, like, and I know I'm just listening to reports, and like I was also just reading about how he's not going to training camp. He seems like from all media reports, obviously never met the guy, but he seems kind of like high maintenance, and like I feel like he's not understanding what would be best for him either. Like I don't think he wants to stay in Philly, obviously, but like it sounds like he's really picky about where he goes. And again, my bias is coming through, but like I'm never gonna like a player that does not want to come to Toronto, even though Brian, you made a good point. Like there's lots of cities I don't want to live in either. So like it's not really, I shouldn't really take it personally. But I do. I mean, I don't even live in Toronto. I left. So but I miss it a lot. Yeah, so I don't really know what's happening over in the Sixers camp. I think a lot of mistakes are being made. I don't think he should still be on that team, and I think they got to I think like maybe they're just asking too much, or he's asking too much, and they're not going to get what they need.
Yeah, and I think right before I go to Brian, I'll just add, I feel like part of the unwinnable nature of the situation, it seems, is Daryl Morey, and I'm a big Daryl Morey fan. I think he's like done some awesome things in the NBA, but I also feel like he wants to win this trade. And I feel like he might be in a situation where that it's not a winnable trade. Like I really felt that the whole deadline, everyone, I know we're going back to Kyle here, but people kept, they were so sure Kyle was out the door at the deadline. And for me, once the major players were Pat Riley, Daryl Morey, and Masai, I was like, there's no deal getting done. I don't know what to tell people, but those three want to win every interaction they have. And that's just a tough bargaining trio. And I feel like, I'm not sure.
You said Morey,
Morey, Masai, and Pat Riley with the Heat. Like I know Riley and Masai did get a deal done this offseason, but I feel like if, for instance, Precious wasn't truly on the table in the deadline and it was Hero, I think Masai was like, I'm cool with that. Like,
I don't think Masai tries to win every deal, and that's why he wins every deal. Because he just does what he thinks is in the best interest of the team and try to come with like the most mutually beneficial deal that he can. Mm-hmm. And he's like an amiable dude. Like people like him, and that's why things get done, right? Like
that's true.
Some of these GMs or other team presidents are maybe a little too cerebral for their own good, and also be kind of crotchety in their personal dealings, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like when you look at like again a guy like Babcock back in the day, he obviously didn't have like the charisma that Masai has, right? And that was probably very detrimental to his ability to get deals done in our favor. And when you look at the Vince deal, I don't know, maybe you could have got a bit more, maybe not.
Oh yeah, I think the Vince deal, especially if you're looking at like, what Masai's done, the Vince deal definitely hurts. And actually, I think it's a really, really good point about Masai. And I shouldn't put him in the same camp as Morey and Riley, because I think that's exactly right. Masai seems to be clever, be kind of like this guy that can make things happen. And I was talking to a friend of ours, Jonathan Yam, before this started, and we were talking about Masai. And he brought up a good point too, just kind of saying that, Masai, you can only like crush other teams in a trade so many times before the rest of the league is like just a bit nervous to deal with you. So I feel like he's working those angles. He's kind of like, I can do this clever, amazing trade sometimes. I can totally win, but also I can do like a mutual win, which in my opinion was the Norm, Gary Trent, Rodney Hood trade. I thought was a, sort of a mutual win. I guess we'll see how, it works out for all parties involved. But yeah, what do you think about, Ben Simmons and like where that's heading or not heading?
Well, yeah, I don't think now is the time to try to force a trade, for the sake of trading him, like, because then they'll get into like a Vince Carter situation where they, just take on contracts and assets that don't really help them. I think the best thing for Philly is for them to stand pat, and everyone's in their feelings right now because of the last playoffs. But Ben Simmons is like a generational talent, he's really fucking good, and all it will take was for him to bounce back and have a really good season, which he totally can do, and everything will be all good in Philly again. That said, I mean, he's obviously not a great fit, like with the roster that they have. Yep. And I keep saying it, they need to trade him to Golden State for Andrew Wiggins, and I guess the draft is done now, but they could like Wiggins and Kuminga or something for Simmons. Like, who says no? I think that'd be a really good move for both teams. He obviously needs to be on a team that's full of shooters, and Golden State is that. It's also like, I mean, again, going back to George's point about like Philly fans, like, Bay Area is like polar opposite, right? People are just like chill and super supportive. So, yeah, I think, ideally, I think that's the trade to make if there were one to happen. But that said, I do think Philly should stand pat, and I don't see anything getting done prior to the season starting. And if things go well, out of the gate and over the first month or two, I could definitely see him remaining in Philly and, maybe even retiring there. I mean, like, look how bad things got with like Kobe and the Lakers at one point. Almost, had his foot out the door. He's going to the Clippers or whatever. And, we look at it in retrospect, and he retired, one of the greatest Lakers of all time. So it could be the same situation for Ben, and it will be the same situation for Pascal, who, people soured on him because his 3-point efficiency went down, but he'll be the GOAT Raptor when it's all said and done.
Oh, I love that confidence. I mean, I am still so high on Pascal. I think he's such an incredible player. And I think, yeah, the transition, from being like a opportunistic, 1A to like you are the one, we expect you to have like a bunch of pet plays that are unstoppable is extremely difficult. And I think even, with COVID and with Tampa, when the dust settled on like his numbers and efficiency, particularly without Baines, I think he was incredible. But yeah, we love Pascal around here.
Last year, I mean, you look at the final numbers, and I mean, obviously, I don't know if it was you that brought it up that or there was that tweet that was talking about how when Pascal and OG were on the court together without Baines, they were, what was it, second in the league or first in the league in offensive efficiency, something like that.
Yeah, they were quite incredible, like without Baines.
Really good, and yeah, it should come as no surprise because they were really incredible in the year prior. So why would that change?
Totally, and we actually talked about this a little bit about I was kind of saying like the wear and tear of like them not playing with with a banger, and you kind of brought up, it's like, yeah, well, the center position is so changed right now, and you said it earlier in the pod too. It's weird. It's a diminishing position, but it's still important, obviously. And I think, yeah, what a modern center is just different now. Like, obviously, you have Jokic and Embiid, and I guess guys like Nurkic and JV to a lesser degree, but it's like the big clunky, like, I'm going to destroy you with my size centers is very rare in specialty category right now, I think.
Until they change the league rules, right? I mean, who knows what changes will be made to the rules in the future, but
totally
something happen that brings back, the big man, but we'll see.
For sure. And I think that I always love watching how a rule change can affect things. The hand check rule with Michael Jordan, I think, helped produce a guy like James Harden, who's just like maximizing the rules and his skill set. And I love it. And I think you're exactly right. Like, it's just a tweak here, tweak there can really kind of like change strategy and like how people like approach the game.
Make dunks worth 3 points. There you go.
That would be alley oops 4 points. Okay, that's probably getting too crazy, but
I mean that's some like real North Korea type shit there. But
yeah, I mean, I'm into some fun, flubber base antics. Had to get my flubber reference in. Okay, let's finish strong here and do some quickish questions. Maddie D, I know you're there. Why don't you give me the most rude, delicious sounding quickish question sting you got? Okay, here we go. Quickish questions. You know it. You love it. I'm going to read a bunch of questions as quickly and concisely as I can. I'm going to, stutter, slur, misread a comma. That's okay. You have to answer as quickly as you possibly can. No phoning a friend or Maddie D, fixing the AC, no hijinks. Okay.
Okay.
If you're confused by the question, sorry, you just got to go for it. But I'll do my best. Okay, let's go. Brian, George, Maddie D. All right, here we go. Brian, inspired by Danny, what significant life event do you plan to commemorate with a tattoo? Funny question coming your way.
I would get a tattoo commemorating Danny Green getting a tattoo of the Raptor championship.
Okay, I would pay to see that. That would be
just on my back, just Danny Green getting tatted with like with his arm, and it would be an exact facsimile of his tattoo.
That's like some Inception style shit, and I love it. George, what is the longest time you have taken to pick up a ring?
I think only like a week.
Cheers. Yeah. Same here. If I have a ring with my name on it, I'm gonna head there. Maddie.
Yes.
How long before we as in Raptors fans, keep looking at Suggs' stat line?
How long until we stop?
Maddie, I need you to answer the question.
Sorry, I think I missed it. I think we're gonna be watching that guy. It's gonna be like a Crosby Ovechkin rivalry, Barnes and Suggs, and we're gonna be his whole career. We're gonna be watching those stats and comparing and grading them at the end of each season. Who was better?
I love it. Brian, you're in charge of planning a team building event for the new Raptors players. Where in Toronto do you take them, and what will the event be?
I would take them to Swiss Chalet,
Nice.
and the event would be eating Swiss Chalet.
Yes.
Toblerone era or Lindor chocolate era?
Oh man, it's gotta.
Yes.
Oh wow! Oh my God. Elisa Nobrega, if you're listening, I don't know what to say.
Bring back the Toblerone.
Yeah, people go crazy for it. I test Elisa. Shout out, George. If you can ask Masai Ujiri anything, what would it be?
Want to hang out?
Yep,
That
checks out. Imagine if he said yes. It'd be so sick.
I mean, I do imagine that.
Yeah, I imagine he'd say no to me, just like confidently, but no thanks. Maddie, what's a good dance move to do after you score a basket?
The nicest one that had lots of flow that I liked was the Vasquez little shimmy. I always like that little Vasquez shimmy. And, especially when it's like a 3-pointer or something, I still want OG to do, because he's, from the UK, when I want him to do like a T salute when he gets a 3.
If OG did a T salute, that would be amazing, especially if he mimed the like little plate under it.
Yeah.
Some high T with OG. That's good. Brian. Over under 41.5 number of games LeBron plays.
Over.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that would be a lot. It'd be very injured.
41.7.
yeah. He somehow he busts over the over, but just in a weird fractional way.
He'll play the full season because he's LeBron.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Witness to that. George, Scotty Barnes will start blank number of games for the Raptors this season.
How many games are in the season this year?
I think we're back to 82.
Okay. I think he'll start whatever half of 82 is.
41.
Thank you.
I like that.
Yeah. I think there'll be some injuries and he'll be starting.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, we'll see how long Pascal's out. He'll definitely. I feel like he'll be starting there for sure. Maddie.
Yeah.
Will there be a Raptor an All-Star weekend this year?
Oh dear. I'm gonna say yes. It's gonna be Dragic.
Yeah. Just like some old
You'll light it up.
Dragic. Okay, let's it's the last question. We'll just make it an all play. Brian, any new MVP candidates this year, you think?
New MVP candidates. I have nothing to base this on. It's just the first name that popped into my head. I'm gonna go with Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Oh my, that's juicy and I love it. George, any new candidates for you?
I mean, I really can't think of anybody who's going to pop off to MVP. That's different than the last season. So I don't think there will be.
Fair. Maddie D?
Just to quickly catch up on, was it Giannis who is the most recent one?
No.
Jokic.
Jokic, right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, no, there's definitely going to be a new MVP. Sorry, Yoke. And I think it's going to be Zion Williamson. I think he is coming into camp pissed. His family's pissed. Everyone's pissed in his camp. And he's going to show that he's going to shatter some backboards this year. I feel like that guy. With dunks.
I love it. With dunks, yeah. Not with like a swish.
Yeah.
Wow, it's such a swish. Well, I got slurry there. But yeah, that's Quickish Questions. We made it to the end of the pod. Thank you both so much. Thanks for everyone who's been listening and supporting. August is our best month ever, so we really do appreciate that. And yeah, we're growing. And thank you all. But yeah, before we sign off here, let's go to you first, Brian. Is there anything coming up? Anything you're working, or if not, something you want to tell people?
Well, I'm just a washed 40-year-old DJ.
No, you're awesome.
I just recently started getting back to doing gigs and stuff like that. Not too much club stuff yet, but yeah, that's pretty. I mean, other than that, I'm staying at home, cooking lots of noodles, playing video games,
Nice.
and talking to people about sports. That's pretty much my life in a nutshell right now.
I mean, I'm almost the exact same, cooking some different things. I'm not a good cook. HelloFresh, shout out. Did you say sounds terrible?
No, I'm terrible.
Oh, okay.
But it's something that I've been doing during the pandemic. And yeah, food.
Yeah, man. We need food.
I'm so hungry now.
I know. I want some noodles.
I want Swiss chalet.
Oh, yes,
yeah.
you do. They need to, I don't know, they need to get that in the, they don't have it in America, do they?
No, and I've been I don't even eat meat, but
You have White Castle, though, so that's, pretty even trade. No, just kidding. Swiss chalet.
White Castle.
Swiss chalet is the Kalo of food.
Swiss chalet is amazing.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Plus, they bought, Saint Hubert. It's like no game in town.
What?
They did, yeah.
Oh,
Really?
My God. Make all my friends so mad.
Yeah, that'll piss them off.
Oh, totally.
Like the amount of arguments, because I used to be a I used to be a Saint Hubert guy,
Mhm.
and when I was younger, and then eventually, I conceded that Swiss chalet is better because it is. Yeah,
It's
that's
just the sauce,
it's the
like
sauce.
that
The
puts
sauce
it over
is so
the edge.
good.
The sauce, exactly. Well, I mean, it's just like with like KFC. It's the batter because the chicken is disgusting. It's just It's the sauce, the Swiss chalet sauce, but it is the most delicious
Oh my
concoction
God.
ever invented. So
You're right. When you're right, you're right. George, what's up? What do you want to tell people?
Well, I guess if you live in LA, it looks like I'm doing some outdoor shows again.
Cool.
Look for
Nice.
those. If you like sports, I do videos for the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. But right now it's mostly football, and I'll be honest, I'm making it all up. I don't know what's going on with football, and I just can't wait till it's basketball time, and then I can actually talk about what I like. Yeah, that's it. I'm fucking just at home, nesting in my house. I'm having a baby, so I'm just.
Well, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thanks. That's all I'm really working on is building a human. What do you got?
name it?
Yeah, it's true.
We don't have a name because it's a boy, and I don't know if you guys. I know
should
you're
name
all
him the Raptor.
Stanimal.
Raptor.
The Raptor.
Stanimal's not bad. So
Delphrey.
Stanley's not on. He's
Or
gone.
Masai. Masai's a good
Oh, I
name.
like Masai a lot,
That's
but
good.
I feel like as a white couple, I gotta really be careful not
That's
to
fair.
appropriate.
Yeah, but for me, being like neither white or black, it's just hilarious that a couple would have a baby named. Well, it's not real.
Well-
I mean, there's nothing wrong with Masai though, because like
No.
I mean, we've been naming, like why is my name Brian? I'm not Irish.
Well, Freddie,
Fair.
your brother said I should call my baby OG, and I was like, I would in a second if I wasn't just a part of a white couple. And we name our kid OG, it'd be like
You know
such a
what?
try hard name.
I think if you named a Masai, I understand that the misgivings surrounding, like cultural appropriation or whatever. But given the context, it's it's very respectful. You're doing it. You're naming him
honestly
after the
really
greatest
like it.
human being that's ever walked the earth, and I don't see anything wrong with that.
Damn right. Wait, Matt, did you say name him Del Curry? I thought-
Yeah, Del Curry. Yeah, no, I said Delphrey, which is a
That's a good name.
classic name.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Cheers to Delphrey, I guess. Okay, I think we're in name banter zone, which is a good place to be. But, yeah. Thank you all for doing this. This was a really fun pod, and yeah, I love you both. And thanks for everyone for listening. Maddie, if you feel like we're done and good to go, just give me those delicious words. Okay.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network.